Hello and welcome to the 2015-2016 Winter Forecast from Neoweather.com. I'm forecaster Jeremy Crookston alongside forecasters Eric Poston, Brian Ivey, and Mark Spencer.
Welcome to our 6th annual Winter Forecast. We have a lot to discuss this winter with what looks to be a potentially challenging forecast this year. What weather patterns might make things kind of wild in spots? And how big of a factor will El Nino play in our seasonal forecast?
That's a good point, Brian. Last winter didn't take long to get going. Cold air quickly dropped into Ohio and a good portion of the country and stayed there. Unlike the 2013 winter, which featured shots of bitter cold air, we stayed cold for a much longer period of time.
We also received several snowstorms that dropped a lot of snow in a short period of time. Who cannot forget the massive lake effect snow that fell in Buffalo or the historic snowfall in Boston and New York? Will this year also feature major snowfall across a large portion of the country, or will it be drier and warmer this year?
That's the question everyone wants the answer to, Eric, and we'll take a look at several factors. Many media reports are calling for a potentially historically strong El Nino that would have a major impact on the winter weather pattern. We know that sometimes there is hype and exaggeration, though. We'll tell you a bit about how ocean and atmospheric patterns affect the actual weather you see in your backyard. Plus, we'll break down our winter forecast by region to give you a more accurate look at potential trends in your area.
Hopefully we can get some more rain and snow across California and the Southwest to cut into that drought. We'll fill you in about that and tell you how you can get professional weather information from the Neoweather team of meteorologists and forecasters.
From professional weather people to professional sports teams, have you ever wondered how teams and stadiums prepare for and handle winter weather? We'll have that story in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Eric. Our winter forecast will begin in just a few moments.
Does your company or event rely on up-to-the-minute weather information? Are you looking for a way to increase productivity and save money while working more efficiently? If so, Neoweather Weather Consulting is here to help.
From radio stations to landscapers, snowplow operators, construction companies, and more, Neoweather Weather Consulting brings you the weather information you need when you need it most.
We provide many services including customized forecasts the way you want them, severe weather alerts, audio forecasts, and so much more. Neoweather Weather Consulting has a solution to fit your exact needs at very affordable rates.
If you need weather information to keep employees and guests safe at any outdoor event, or want to maximize profit and efficiency for your weather-dependent business, then you need Neoweather Weather Consulting.
For more information, visit our website, neoweather.com/consulting, or contact us today and we'll begin working on a customized weather package that fits your needs and budget.
Hello everyone, I'm forecaster Mark Spencer from Neoweather.com. Let's get started with our winter forecast. December is going to be warm for many portions of the country, thanks to a fairly strong El Nino. The northern plains look to see temperatures this month well above normal for the end of the year. This will also lead to less overall snow for the month as well. Much of the northeast United States, the Great Lakes, Midwest, and Central Plains also look to see temperatures above normal. The further south you go, the closer you get to average temperatures. Generally, temperatures for Florida, parts of the Gulf Coast states, and Texas to the southwestern United States look to see temperatures fairly close to normal for December. Overall, precipitation will be far different from what we've seen during the past two winters. Below average precipitation is expected across the northern plains, Great Lakes, and parts of the northeast. Much of the northeast and east coast look to see near normal precipitation. The same holds true as you head west into the central plains and northern Rockies. However, note the trend to above average precipitation for much of the western United States, eastward to the Gulf Coast and parts of Florida. That's thanks to the Pineapple Express. This is a flow of moist air from the Pacific Ocean that can really bring lots of rain to the west coast. High pressure off the coast of Canada forces the jet stream to split, part of it to the north and part of it to the south. The southern portion of the jet stream picks up moisture, and with warm air already in place across the west, quite a bit of rainfall can occur. This will help cut into the drought that's been in place, but will it last? The same feature also feeds moisture across much of the southern states, which is why we also expect above average precipitation here as well. Now let's see what forecaster Jim Sullivan has to say about January.
Moving on to January, I'm forecaster Jim Sullivan taking a look at the temperature departures for the whole month. This is expected to be the transition month this winter. December, we're expecting to be a very mild month across the continental United States, warm across the north compared to normal, and near normal across the deep south. January, we're expecting the North Atlantic oscillation to start turning a little more negative and the El Nino to start weakening a little bit, which will start fostering some cooler air in the eastern United States, especially during the second half of the month. The first half of the month could still be fairly mild across the northern tier. However, later in the month could start turning colder, especially in the eastern U.S. So these are anomalies or departures for temperatures for the whole month. Overall, I think the warmer than normal conditions will win out still in the north, but it will not be as significantly warm as December. The strongest warmth will start becoming centered a little bit farther west as high pressure starts developing over the western United States, and this could also allow some cooler than normal temperatures to become a little bit more prevalent across the deep south. Taking a look at the month of January, the expected precipitation departures from normal. We're expecting the drier than normal conditions across the northern United States to start edging west a little bit as ridging aloft becomes more established over the western United States as we head through the month of January. So what that'll do is that'll start pushing the surge of moisture associated with the El Nino and the subtropical jet stream farther south. So we only have near normal precipitation along the west coast as opposed to the above normal that we have for December, and we're bringing the wetter than normal conditions a little bit farther north across the southeast and middle Atlantic states as we're expecting a more active storm track to start developing in that area during the month of January. We have a fairly large area of near normal precipitation. Locations like the Great Lakes, northern Ohio Valley, and northern New England, they're sort of in a swing zone. They can do okay in an El Nino January like this. They can also be drier than normal, so that'll be something to watch, but we definitely think the drier than normal weather is going to start becoming centered a little farther west with wetter than normal weather across the deep south from Texas over across the Gulf Coast states into the southeast and parts of the southern middle Atlantic states.
Thanks, Jim. January will certainly be a transition month after that very, very warm December for many across the country. But what are we transitioning into? Well, looky here. Here we go with February temperatures, a much more typical pattern compared to what we've seen at least the last two Februaries with that cold core of Arctic air across the lower Great Lakes, Ohio valleys and Tennessee valleys. St. Louis to Louisville, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo will likely be well below average for February. Even the Thousand Lakes are finally going to see real winter after wondering, hey, are we ever going to see any for the first 2 months? So Minneapolis, St. Paul definitely getting in on some cold there, as well as Green Bay and Marquette. It'll stay on the chilly side from Dallas to Savannah. All this is due to the El Nino, which is of course the warm water across the equatorial Pacific Ocean, likely shifting a little bit westward. Also what's known as the Aleutian Low, which typically is setting up with the El Nino. It's going to shift off towards the northwest a little bit, and this is going to change where our troughs of low pressure and our ridges of high pressure are across the United States, which is going to allow for more blocking. Now, you've typically heard of the NAO, or the North Atlantic Oscillation, and blocking in the same terms, and this basically in layman's terms means cold core of air from Canada is more easily accessible to just slide south into the United States, and we think this is what's going to happen. That warm air is now going to push well into the west, LA to Nevada, through the Rockies, up into Seattle. That's your core of the more warmer, the milder air, and I think Seattle could definitely be well above average temperature-wise in February. As far as the rain and snow goes for February, I do not expect as many drastic changes. Pacific moisture, as coupled with Gulf Coast moisture, will be helping out across the deep south. Houston into New Orleans, much of Florida, the southeast, and even the east coast, hugging that coastline, will be above average in terms of precipitation. I think some nor'easters could probably help you out to above average snowfall for the big cities there on the east coast. And you know what? With cold air in place, I think above average snow and ice possible for many areas of the deep south as well. Something to keep an eye on. The biggest change is going to be much drier weather across most of the north, especially as the northwest back into Montana, Idaho, and Washington and Oregon. I believe below average to well below average rainfall. That's all due to that Pacific pattern really getting shut off. So I'm sure a lot of you are wondering if you're going to get a lot of snow this winter. Let's toss it over to meteorologist Tyler Seabree for the answer.
So how much snowfall can we expect this winter? Well, the two main jackpot areas look to be across the Colorado Rockies in the west and the Appalachians in the east. For the first half of winter, the Pineapple Express, with the help of El Nino, will spread plentiful moisture across the western United States. Heavy mountain snow is likely across the mountains of California as well as the Colorado Rockies, where much above average snowfall is possible. The second half of winter, the pattern is expected to change, with numerous East Coast systems. This will result in above-average snowfall across the Mid-Atlantic, with the heaviest snowfall across the Appalachians. The Great Lakes will have a pretty snowless winter for the first half of winter, but as the pattern gets more active for the second half of the season, we expect lake effect snow machine to start cranking and bring periods of snow and wind along with colder temperatures. However, due to the snow not really kicking in until the second half, a below-average winter is expected. Across the plains, with a late start to winter expected as well, snowfall will also be around average, and for interior New England, you can expect an average snowfall.
And now for the grand finale, the overall U.S. summary map for the 2015-2016 winter season. This will be split into two parts. First half of the winter, all of December through 1st of January, and the second half of January through all of February. First, let's look at December through the first half of January. There will be two main features that we'll be looking at: the strong El Nino and the Pineapple Express. The Pineapple Express is a jet stream pattern that brings plentiful and persistent moisture from Hawaii to the Pacific coast. Oftentimes in this setup, you'll see high pressure just off the coast of Canada. The jet stream travels well to the north, but as the high breaks down off the Canada coast, the jet stream splits, spreading moisture across much of the Pacific west coast. Also, with a strong El Nino in place, and lots of subtropical moisture, not only the west coast will be impacted, but we expect a stream of persistent moisture to spread across the Pacific Southwest and portions of the Deep South. Heavy mountain snow can be expected across the mountains of California and into the Rockies, where potentially many areas could receive above to well above snowfall, or 150% plus of their normal snowfall for the year. It will be generally quiet across the central and eastern portions of the country, and also mild, likely averaging several degrees above normal for the first half of winter. Now taking a look at the second half of January into all of February. Those that want snow in the east, this pattern will likely be for you. As the strong El Nino begins to weaken, we expect a flip in the pattern. Going into the second half of January through the month of February, the west will become warm and quite dry, with a ridge building across the west. Also, with the Siberian snow cover continuing to increase, this is almost normally a good sign or clue that colder air building across the north will surge southward with a developing negative NAO, also known as the North Atlantic Oscillation, will set up a trough across the east. With blocking in place, we expect several East Coast systems. This could indeed make up for the snowless December and first half of January and put you above average by the time we end the month of February. While we think much of the Mid-Atlantic and a good portion of the Tennessee River Valley will see above snowfall, portions of the Appalachians could see well above snowfall for the season, or 150% plus their normal average of the season than they normally expect. Across the south, with a series of cold shots with more moisture entering the picture, there is a chance for a few mixed precipitation events or icy events, especially along I-20 and I-40. Across the far southern portion of the Gulf Coast states, thunderstorms at times cannot be ruled out due to the very warm waters, which could fuel some of these low-pressure systems that develop across the Gulf of Mexico and then move along the east coast. Now heading back towards the north, the Great Lakes will experience much colder temperatures in the second half of winter compared to the first half of winter, which will also make up the snowless winter that we expect in December. However, we still expect below average snowfall. Across interior New England, we can expect temperatures and precipitation for the second half of the winter to be around average.
Thank you for watching the 2015-2016 winter forecast.
To view our complete winter forecast, plus the latest and most accurate forecasts for Ohio, visit our website, Neoweather.com.
Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Google+.
Stay tuned to Neoweather in the coming months as we continue to grow and expand to be your main source of weather information. Have a good one.